again. Give me the hot sauce. Give me the hot sauce, Bob.
Give me the hot sauce, fans. You did not have to wait an entire week for a brand new episode. This is episode 39. Not a lot of great number 39s in sports history. I'm sure there are some. I was trying to think driving over here. I remember Curtis Enos, when he came to the Bears, wore 39, and then he changed to 44, and then he was out of the league because he had all kinds of problems. But
I have one.
I know you do. You want to talk about the great Larry Zonka from the last perfect team in the NFL.
I do, and I'm sharing the screen here.
Oh, how about that?
How about that shot?
I love that little notch in his helmet to protect the eyes. Yeah.
Imagine trying to tackle him.
Those are the old days when men were men.
That's the bridge of the nose protector, though.
Yeah.
He probably got it busted a couple of times anyway.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did. I saw some of those old videos.
Yeah, Larry Zonka, Jim Kick, Mercury Morris was the backfield. Of course, Bob Greasy at the quarterback. And remember that
Greaser.
team? Greasy would only throw like 10 to 14 passes a game. Don Shula was super conservative, wanted to run the football. And was it 1972 they had the perfect season?
Yeah.
Game manager.
The great Gary Apremian in the Super Bowl.
Just manage
with
the
his
game.
great attempt at throwing a pass.
Just manage the game. Just hike the ball and hand off. That's all you got to do and get out the way. That's Bob Greasy. That's all he did.
And
Blue
Zonk's done
36, Blue 36, handoff. Let's go.
Yeah, Zonk's done some cameos. I think we saw him in Ballers on HBO, and he's done some stuff in films. So he's still out there going strong. So I guess number 39 will be in honor of Larry Zonka.
Just so you know, Earl Morrall had more attempts than Bob Greasy that year.
Yeah,
he had 150 attempts.
Wow.
Just run the football, baby.
Yeah,
Don't turn it over.
So,
Oh, man.
14-0.
Yeah. Wow. That was a special time, and teams have been chasing that ever since. The Patriots, your Patriots, almost got it a couple of years ago until Eli Manning and the Giants beat him in the Super Bowl.
A miracle play. David Tyree.
Yeah.
It's a miracle play. Beat him.
No. It wasn't a miracle
Eli
play.
Manning
It was a
pressure.
tremendous athlete beating an average athlete on that play.
It was a tremendous play, a miracle play. And
He's still talking about that because he's out of the league. He's been out of the league for a long time.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. But they still went, 14-0. The Miami Dolphins won 2 games, or how many? They went 17-0. The Patriots went 19-0 before they lost, right? Or 8.
It's still they lost. It doesn't count.
And Manning beat him twice, right?
You can just get
No. They remember that they beat the Giants the last game of the regular season. That's when Randy Moss went off. He had I don't know how many touchdowns. They threw that bomb down. No, they beat the Giants. That was an amazing game. They came back and beat the Giants, and I'll look it up for you.
Why don't you do that?
And then they lost eventually to the Giants in the Super Bowl on a miracle play again.
It wasn't a miracle play.
Miracle play was the one touchdown the Patriots had against the Bears in '86.
How about those passes?
They didn't have a touchdown.
How about those passes?
Field goal.
They got one at the end.
Hey, how about those passes?
end.
Wes Welker missed. Okay, let's talk about that in that game. He missed a couple that were big time. Do you remember that, John? Since you remember everything,
I don't. I never.
You don't remember him dropping some passes, key passes, and then Tom Brady's wife talking trash about him in the elevator. Remember they taped her?
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
you don't remember. You only remember the good plays. Okay. Sounds familiar there, Mark.
We are recording episode 39 from the Hustle and Flow studios. This is a Monday afternoon that is loaded with news. NFL training camps are opening all across this great land. The Chicago Bears open training camp on Tuesday. Green Bay Packers start on Wednesday, and there's big news coming at you regarding the future of Aaron Rodgers, which has dominated the NFL landscape for a number of weeks. The news today, first reported by Ian Rappaport, and then Adam Schefter of ESPN had more details. Aaron Rodgers will return to the Green Bay Packers at least for this season. According to Schefter, they've reached an agreement. Rodgers had 3 years left on his current contract. They're going to void the last year of the deal and then meet after the 2021 season to decide what Rodgers' future will be. Basically, they're going to let him call whether he wants to stay in Green Bay or move on after this season. So, Stacey, they're giving him the ultimate power as a player. He can decide his future. But at least from the Packers' perspective, they get 1 more year of Rodgers, 1 more year to try to develop Jordan Love as a starter.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, he's holding them hostage, basically. He basically said he wasn't, just the other day, he said he wasn't coming in and playing for them at all. So then the Packers now, they're in a situation like, do we go in with this young quarterback, unproven, and here we are, the division's wide open for us to take. Do we want to go in there with Jordan Love as our quarterback when it's right for the taking? I still don't think they're better than Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is the best team in the NFC. But you have to have Aaron Rodgers if you are Green Bay. And so they wilted under the pressure, I'm sure if you asked the fan base, they probably said, let him go.
You know what? This is probably the best solution for both sides. Rodgers didn't want to be there, but at least Green Bay gets that one more season, as I mentioned. And then Rodgers, who's now 38, will get a chance to pick where he wants to finish his career, which if he's like Tom Brady, may go another 5 or 6 years.
I could probably see him playing another 5 years, and he probably wants to go somewhere where he's got a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Maybe the 49ers?
49ers. Maybe he's going to wait to see what happens out there. They got another young quarterback, Trey Lance, that they're really high on, and it's just a matter of time before they give him an opportunity to play. So do you really want to go there? Do you want to,
right.
do the 49ers come back and say, we got a chance to get Aaron Rodgers. We can sit this kid for 2 or 3 years and then let him nurture and learn how to be a quarterback. They could go that route. Or they say, hey, look, we gave him a lot to get this kid.
Well, the only constant in professional sports is change. So we know that there's going to be a lot of changes in the NFL landscape. I mean, there's more news on Deshaun Watson on this Monday that the Houston Texans have said, yeah, we're willing to trade you, but reportedly they want 5 premium draft picks and starting caliber players, and the rest of the league is looking at him like, wait a minute, every day there's a new allegation about sexual misconduct. I mean, they're not going to get anything close to what they might want to get in a trade.
No, they'll be lucky if they get anything that will look like they will benefit from, because teams now can just sit back and wait. Why would you make a trade for him right now when you don't know what the outcome of he's going to be? Is he going to serve time? No one knows that. I mean, you hear all these allegations are true, they're false, whatever. The point is, nothing has been done about it right now. So you can, if you're another team, you can and mortgage your future on a quarterback who may not even be there.
And who needs them at this point? We've already had the draft. You mentioned the 49ers.
Yeah, it's tough to bring in a new quarterback who's missed the entire offseason.
Right.
Yeah, you look around the league, there's not that many places. And his legal issues have taken another step. His agent confirmed that 10 women have gone to the Houston police to file formal complaints. So it's now not just a civil matter, it's a police matter as well.
And I'd just like to go back to Aaron Rodgers, you said about the fans. If he comes out and has anywhere near the year he had last year, 121 rating, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, fans aren't.
Who's the MVP?
Fans forget very quickly.
Forget
They forget very quickly if you're having success.
Yep.
And you got to remember, his team was very good. He carried that team last year.
Yes,
it was kind of like Michael Jordan on the Green Bay Packers. He pretty much carried that team and elevated them. Devontae Adams had something to do with it too. They were close, but really not close. I mean, Tampa Bay was just a better football team. For Tampa Bay to come in on the road under those circumstances, it was cold. No one thought that, here's a team that's in, Florida coming to Green Bay to play, and there's no way in the world they're going to win that game.
Yeah, and Rodgers is at the height of his powers right now, even at 38, coming off, as you mentioned, a fantastic season. Reports that he finished the normal offseason program that he does. He goes to this California Sports Performance Training Center. He completed that program. He's been chasing Shailene Woodley around the beaches of Hawaii, so I guess he's ready to roll. You got anything to say about that, Tim?
We all know how hard she is to catch.
Oh, my gosh.
Speaking of chasing, what happened to your place in Wisconsin? You were all excited to go up there and do some karaoke and insult some Wisconsinites. What happened?
I missed out because they burned the place down. They knew I was coming.
This must be an inside joke. I don't know anything about this. What were you supposed to do?
So this bar, this little dive up there in Lake Mills where I I kind of shock the crowd every year with the little karaoke.
Yeah.
Like to freeze the bartenders in mid-shake.
Yeah. America, if you know anything about Timmy Whispers, he throws grenades out in the middle of the table. Well, he does that on karaoke too. He may not know the words, but when the song is over, you're going to know that you've known the words that he just made up. And trust me, they weren't like what the song was supposed to be.
She deleted it from the computer.
Oh, yeah. See, I called him. I called him up because I was all excited. I'm like, how did it go? Because he was talking about it. Like, he was so excited to go up there to do it. And so I called him up yesterday to find out. Well, today. I called him today to find out how it went. Oh, it was terrible. It wasn't there. I'm like, what do you mean it wasn't there? Did they just pack up and leave? He's like, no, it's burnt down. They're going to rebuild it supposedly, yada, yada, yada. But he had a good time up there. He said up in Wisconsin.
Don't you think he had something to do with the burning down? People didn't want it.
Yeah, they probably said we don't want him back, next year, so let's just burn it down.
He usually comes back around July.
Yeah, comes back. Yeah, right around July. That guy comes back. The guy looks like Clay Aiken. He comes back around July.
Yeah, if you rebuild it, Tim will come to sing.
Yeah. I'll be there next year though. If they rebuild,
I guess they are rebuilding it with a better sound system.
Yes. I asked him, did he bring the ribs?
Here we go.
Yeah, did he bring the ribs? He, nah.
Well,
he didn't bring the ribs.
If you're a regular listener of the show, or if you're watching on YouTube, we always encourage you to do that and subscribe. We normally start with basketball. We got a special treat coming for you. Casey Johnson, the great Bulls insider from NBCSportsChicago.com, is going to join us in just a couple of minutes. We'll break down all the possible offseason moves. Of course, the NBA draft is coming up on Thursday. Right now, the Bulls only have a second-round pick, but we'll get you a lot of intel from Casey coming up in just a few minutes. And speaking of basketball, how about Team USA losing to France in their opening game of group play at the Olympics?
Man.
The squad looks good on paper, but there's really no chemistry. They were up by 7 with 3:40 to go, and they let it get away.
Well, I mean, here's the thing when you're watching this team play. It's almost like they don't have a leader out there, a guy that says, okay, I'm the number one guy. The rest of you guys find your spots.
Should be Kevin Durant, right?
Yeah, Kevin Durant should be the guy. He's always been that guy. But you got to remember, Kevin Durant is coming off an injury that really he really wasn't 100% this year. So now he's playing the Olympics because a lot of people passed on it, so he wanted to do it. And, he's not asserting himself as the number one guy. He's going to have to do that because that's where you got to get a pecking order. Guys got to know where their role is. Even on a superstar team like this, you have to have roles. And the one thing I notice about this team is that they have an advantage at every position when they play any other team because they've got the best of the best. And for them to play the way the other teams are playing, because in order to beat the USA, you got to shoot threes. You got to space the floor and shoot threes. That's what France did to come back yesterday. So when you look at the American team, they have a matchup nightmare at every position, and they're all just standing around shooting threes. It's like they take turns coming down the court. You take it this time, I'll get it next time. Instead of putting the ball on the floor, using their athleticism, driving and creating for their teammates, instead of just one pass, catch, and jack it up.
Well, the 3 guys that played in the finals, Devin Booker, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton, just got off the plane in Tokyo the morning of game day. And Holiday wound up leading Team USA in scoring with 18 points, playing big minutes down the stretch. But there's no time for practice, no chance for any continuity. And in the late game situations,
what does that say, though?
France got 2 3-pointers on straight inbounds plays. They just threw it to the corner and got a 3 because there was no rotations. They didn't know who was covering who.
Well, again, I mean, you've got guys. First of all, there's a bunch of guys who've never played international basketball, number one. Okay, so that plays an important role. A lot of these guys, when you see, like Kevin Durant's had some experience playing, Draymond Green, there's a lot of guys that have not played international basketball. The rules are different than the NBA. And this is why these foreign teams, like, when you look at Luka's team and Satoransky's Czech Republic team, these guys play this all the time. And they're used to playing these rules, ball up on the rim. They can knock it off the rim, where the American players,
they never do it
because they're not used to playing that way. And it looks like there's goaltending. When someone does it to them, it's goaltending. It's goaltending. And the referee's like looking at them like, nah, this is it's international play. So there's a lot of rules. The lane is different. The 3-point line is shorter. There's a lot of differences in the game that are different from the NBA.
I don't understand that decision. He flies 6,000 miles. He just got finished the NBA Finals, and he's out there leading the team in scoring.
Imagine if he would have got hurt.
I just don't understand that. Like, what are the other guys have been there? Like, where's like you said, the continuity?
Popovich was desperate. Middleton and Booker didn't play much, but Holiday got it going, and they were trying to ride him down the stretch. But he gets hurt in that game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and also he's arguably their best on-ball defender. Yeah. So you want him out there for those purposes to guard Evan Fournier, guys like that who were getting hot. But, I mean, the guy just got off the plane.
Yeah.
He just went to a 6-game grueling series. And, I mean, that just goes to show you the desperation right there. It's like, okay, there's a chance we may lose this game.
People are all over Popovich now because he was the coach in the World Cup when they got drilled, and then they lost the 2 exhibition games. He was also an assistant in 2004, the last time they lost, and people are going, maybe Greg Popovich is overmatched.
The Olympics so far, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to throw the grenade because Tim's not going to say it. It's a disaster. Let's face it. People are tired of watching. I happened to be at the hospital, and they were watching my mother-in-law was watching volleyball. I'm like, oh, cool, volleyball. Even the girls had their little bikinis on. There's nobody in the stands. Nobody wants to watch that.
I was watching.
Well, I'm sure
bikinis. I was watching.
You were watching something else.
I was watching.
But there's a big controversy about the bikinis now. They're saying they're not going to wear the bottoms.
Well, then I'm not going to watch. Then if they're going to, what are they going to wear? They're going to wear like.
I'm not saying they're not going to wear anything. They're going to have like shorts on instead of bikinis.
Oh, so they're going to have shorts on instead of bikinis?
Good for the girls.
Oh, well, you're not. You lost the viewer. Me and about a million other men, we are no longer watching volleyball.
And they need every viewer they can get because they had the lowest rating to start it. And not only the volleyball, forget about if you like gymnastics, they're doing the same thing in gymnastics.
Yeah, sorry boys. Put some clothes on, ladies.
Oh man, this is really bad, man. You just lost a viewer. I'm sorry, Olympics.
That's what you watch for, ass cheeks.
Hey, listen. If it's out there to watch, I'm watching it. It doesn't say don't watch this, people. It's on TV. It's PG rated. I'm watching it. Well, I'm there to see just the athletes. I'm sorry. That's all I'm there for.
We lived in Hermosa Beach, and so yes, thank you. So what was it, 15th Street? Every court has girls with those bikinis on.
I've been there.
So all of a sudden they get to the Olympics now. What's the difference? They've been wearing those bikinis for their whole life.
25 years, 30 years.
They're athletes. They don't need to show their ass cheeks to be athletes. They can put on little biker shorts.
That's their uniform, Susan. That's their uniform. And when you are competing,
volleyball. What do you wear on the beach?
Yeah, what do you wear?
A
turtleneck? Are they supposed to wear turtlenecks and a corduroy pants? Come on.
How about some biker shorts? How about some Lululemon?
I would listen.
It might restrict their movement.
Listen, let me tell you something. American.
Look at Tim.
Let me tell you something.
He's waiting to drop a bomb.
Tim's just salivating over there. His mouth is watering.
Like Johnny in the back of the room.
I'm not gonna lie. If they threw on some Lululemons, I'd still be a fan. Because whoever invented the what do you call them shorts? Those pants. What do you call those? The women wearing the tights. Yeah. Whoever created those yoga pants should get a Nobel Peace Prize.
You have a pair on right now, right?
This is true. Yeah.
Whoever created that is the greatest. That is the greatest creation.
When they first came out, a girlfriend of mine from LA sent me a pair, and I was like, "Who the hell would pay $110 for a pair of yoga pants?" And then I put them on, and I'm like, "Do you see my ass in these pants? Oh my god!"
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
I paid twice that.
I ain't gonna lie. Some people don't need to wear those yoga pants. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. They come out of those yoga pants, they drop like a 64 Impala. No.
I'm gonna tap out right here.
Hey, I ain't lie. Those yoga pants look great, man. Whoever created them, I don't know, Lululemon, Lulu Charles, whoever did it. Awesome. I give you 4-star, 5 stars on that one, man.
Do that. Can you do that sound effect again on the 64 Impala?
64 Impala. Just dropped to the ground. Lowrider, just dragging on the side on the concrete. Yeah, Lululemon. But no, they need to leave those girls alone, man. Leave those girls alone. They've been playing in that outfit for the longest. And what's her name? What's my girl? Missy Trainer. See, I watched them, and I honestly. Listen, America. I'm not a pervert, America. Listen,
Misty Mouse.
Listen,
he just plays one on a podcast.
Listen, I honestly I used to play. Shut up, Mark. I used to play volleyball, and I appreciate the athletic ability that you have to, especially in sand.
Hey, Stacey, when you played volleyball, did you have a Brazilian cut bikini?
Of course.
Let me tell you what I had on.
Of course.
Okay, let me tell you what I had on. I had a grass skirt. Okay. All right, and the grass skirt with nothing on underneath. So if I had to go up, you saw what you had to say. Okay, I wasn't embarrassed, Susan, and neither should these women. This is their uniform. This is what they were given, and I commend them on it. Just play hard, and hey,
were you playing in Hawaii? Where were you playing volleyball?
Hey, listen, man, it was one of those nudist camps. Where you go on in Jamaica. They have these little nude beaches. I didn't know it was a nude beach, so I had to put on a grass skirt. That's gonna be on another chapter, America. We'll talk about that in another story.
What was that, like Moonstone? We grew up. There was a beach, a nudie beach. Where I grew up.
Man, I tell you what.
Moonstone.
Hey, listen. The nude beach I went to in Jamaica. I thought I was gonna go in there and see some hot people. It was like Cocoon. It was like
oh no.
It was like there's a lot of older. I'm like, wait a minute.
Needs that.
I'm like, what's going on here? I heard it through the grapevine, honey.
honey.
California rain.
Oh no!
Like a saddlebag with eyes.
Oh my God! I was like, what? I'm like 24 years old. I'm like, what's going on here? I was walking all proud. I'm out there all proud, happy. I'm like looking around like, this is like my grandparents out here. Let me put some clothes on. You have a grass skirt, sir? Can I borrow that grass skirt, please? You know this is a nude beach. You can't have a grass skirt. Hey. You just go back over there and you stand and get some sun, okay? Please get away from me because you're a little peaked and pale right there, buddy.
Was the water really cold? Was that your excuse?
No,
Shrinkage?
no.
Hey,
that wasn't the case for me, buddy.
It was deep then. Hey, I've got a question. I don't want to be a hater in the Olympics. The one sport I will watch will be softball. Did you happen to see that promo for Jackass Forever? They had the girl from Mexico.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll put it in she's basically known for a pinpoint accuracy. So must have been Johnny Knoxville catching, and she hit him right.
There you go.
Right in the twins.
With no cup?
Yeah, I don't know what he had. He went down.
I don't think he did. Jackass people always do that kind of stuff.
They're professionals.
Yeah, seriously. Don't do this at home. They always tell you. But I guarantee he didn't have a cup on. I guarantee it.
She hit him square and he just dropped. That's great comedy.
So was he trying to let her hit her there?
Yeah, I'll pull up the video for you here.
Nutcracker Suite.
Yeah.
Look for that on the Bubble Up folder.
Yeah.
Bubble Up, the Cloud Reimagined, because we don't have time for this. We got a guest waiting in the Sriracha waiting room.
Yeah,
we
great
just jumped
Casey
off track.
Johnson, Bulls insider. We're going to get back to some serious talk. Well, somewhat serious about basketball. Stacey doing a great job covering the Bulls for a lot of years. So let us know what AK has got planned for the offseason. That is next on the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast, episode 39. Larry Zonka. Stacey's friend, Master Luke, and Bill Cartwright are smiling. If you only knew what we had to do to get our special guest, Casey Johnson, the outstanding Bulls insider for NBC Sports Chicago, hooked up and ready to go here on episode 39 of Gimme the Hot Sauce. First of all, Casey, we appreciate your patience and getting linked up here. This is a very important week around the NBA. Of course, the Bulls do not have a first-round draft pick because of the Nikola Vucevic trade with the Orlando Magic. But still, I'm sure they're going to be involved in a lot of conversations. How busy do you think it's going to be around the league in terms of player movement leading up to the draft?
Well, obviously, you guys saw the first kind of salvo in that discussion happen today between the Pelicans and Grizzlies. So you guys know, I mean, you've been around the league forever. I mean, this and the trade deadline are the two biggest weeks in the NBA calendar, and the opening of free agency, which comes right at the end of it. So there's going to be tons of rumors. There's going to be tons of conversations. And even though the Bulls don't have a first round pick, you're going to hear them mention, because here's what happens this week, as you guys know, is like a move is made that sets up another move, right? So even if the Bulls don't have a first round pick, they've got decisions on options. They've got decisions on qualifying offers that'll kind of tip their hand as to how aggressive they're going to be in free agency.
Hey, let's start with that trade that went down today. Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe, two big contracts, go to Memphis. Jonas Valanciunas goes to New Orleans. A bunch of draft picks were exchanged. Basically, Memphis gets some more favorable picks for taking on all that salary. That could impact the Bulls in their pursuit of Lonzo Ball. Maybe you can explain how that might work.
Well, I mean, what it did, it just made it more palatable for the Pelicans to match a lucrative offer sheet on Lonzo Ball if they choose to do so. There is quite a bit of scuttlebutt around the league that by making this deal and getting Bledsoe and Adams contracts off the books, they're playing the cap game to go after Kyle Lowry. So, obviously as a restricted free agent, they would have the right to match any offer sheet on Lonzo Ball, even if it took them over the cap, because he's their own free agent. But this would just make it more palatable to do so, probably keep them out of luxury tax territory, et cetera, if they strike out on what sounds like is their first target, which is Kyle Lowry.
When you look at the Bulls and their need, we know it's point guard, maybe another wing player, a 3-and-D type of player. Where do you see them going? Is there a possibility if they say they don't get Lonzo and they strike out on their next person they have in line. What are the chances of them maybe going after Derrick Rose? I've been seeing that a lot online today, that there's a possibility. Woj had said that on one of the little Woj bombs today. So how strong a possibility is that, Casey?
I think he's on their radar. I mean, I wrote that in a mailbag a little bit ago at our website, NBCSportsChicago.com. I don't think he's a first option, and I don't even think if he did end up here, he would be starting. I think you saw how he was used in New York last year, where he came off the bench, but then obviously can still exert his will at the most important times. To me, he was the best player on the Knicks in the playoffs. So I still think it's a fit here for him. I wrote that a couple years ago back when I worked at the Tribune. His game obviously has matured and changed and evolved, but I think it's a possibility. Where it ranks in their priority list, unless you guys have Arturas Karnisovas on the upcoming podcast. I don't know. He's a pretty tight-lipped guy. But what I've been told and what I've reported is that he certainly is, in terms of internal conversations that are being had about him, just like they're being had about a lot of possibilities at that position. But it's funny, Stacey, you mentioned their needs, because the way I see it, this team's got a lot of needs. I still think, getting a facilitating type lead guard is probably the biggest one, but they are really woefully thin at wing. And if both Daniel Tice and Lauri Markkanen are gone, and I think there's a strong likelihood one, if not both those guys are, they need some big man depth too. So this team, as we know, has a lot of roster spots to fill and a lot of roles to fill.
You're not jumping on the Marko Simonovic train just yet, Casey?
Well, I mean, he's a piece, but he's a second-round pick, right?
Right.
And he's
I'm
never
just
played in the NBA. I know you are, but as I wrote in a mailbag recently, there's some intrigue around Paul Zipser when he got here. How did that work out?
Yeah, we remember Zip. I'll tell you what, I was dying watching Cameron Payne in the finals because he couldn't play dead here, and then I'm a big Milwaukee guy rooting for the Bucks, and Cameron Payne was carrying him in Game 6. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He couldn't play at all when he was here.
We got to break that down briefly, guys. And Stacey, I want you to chime in here because, you guys know I'm a pretty forgiving beat writer. Yeah. I'm not harsh on players. He was unplayable here. Except for that one game where he made Stacey go crazy with all his threes. He was unplayable here, man. And to see what he did to salvage his career, all props to him, man. Major respect to him. But was I seeing things, or was he unplayable here?
There's no question about that.
He was unplayable. I mean, I thought a lot with the problem that he had here is because he was a first-round pick, and I thought that when he got into games, he felt like he had to make something happen, like he had to go out there and make a special play, which took him completely out of character. But then he went overseas, and then he came back, and he signed in the bubble, and that probably really woke him up.
Played in the G League. I did one of his games.
He went to the G League, he went overseas, and he came back, and that probably woke him up a little bit. Because you remember him in Oklahoma City, all you remember was the dancing with Westbrook.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he dances better than he can play. And when that trade was made, you were kind of scratching your head like, wow, who's this guy? He's terrible. Like honestly, they would call him the tank commander.
Yes, he was. One of the greatest gifts of all time.
But I tell you what, though, sometimes, Casey, and you've been around this game a long time, we've seen this happen. Sometimes it takes players 3 years or more to find themselves. And then he gets into a situation with Phoenix in the bubble. And then you get Chris Paul there that's a calming force to show him how to play and show him how to be a professional. And you can see the maturation process in his game. And he looked like a true point guard. I'm like, hey, well, man, we might need to go back and revisit Cameron Payne. Maybe we can get him for a bag of Doritos. Who knows?
And Casey knows all the people on Twitter then jump on, the Bulls never develop anybody. As soon as they leave and they go Tony Snell and Doug McDermott and they start trotting out all these guys, it's like, forget about it.
He did
Etuan Moore was in the finals.
Yeah.
He did a lot of former Bulls that were playing deep in the playoffs.
He did average 8 for the Bulls. That's his highest. He was 8-4 this year. I mean, his numbers aren't. I mean, you look at it.
We're spending way too much time talking about Cameron Payne. but I should point out that in one of the greatest trades that Gar Foreman engineered as general manager, they only gave up Taj Gibson, Doug McDermott, and of course they threw in a second-round draft pick like they did on every trade. But I digress. Let's get back to this offseason. Free agency starts on August 2nd, and we're expecting, as we always do, a lot of movement around the league. But Maybe you could fill the listeners in on some of the options that are going to become due this weekend that really might tip off which direction the Bulls are going to go, whether they're going to try to create cap space or operate as an over-the-cap team and use exceptions.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Mark. And that's why it's so intriguing to kind of ponder the possibilities, because they really have so many different directions they can go. So Saturday is the deadline for a team option decision on Ryan Arcidiacono at $3 million. I wrote, and this is somewhat educated writing, is I wouldn't be surprised if they decline that option and then try to re-sign him at a minimum, because you can do worse than a back end of the roster, 15th man in Arch. So that's one possibility. But so his decision Saturday. You got qualifying offer decisions on Javonte Green and Lauri Markkanen due Saturday. Typically for restricted free agent of Lowry's ilk, a qualifying offer is a formality because it just gives you insurance to guard against if he does get a low offer in restricted free agency. You want to bring him back at a low number that works for you, then you can match it. So I'm personally expecting a qualifying offer to be extended to Lowry. But if one is not, then you're like, okay, they're almost certainly playing the cap game. And following that, you've got decisions due on partial guarantees for Tomas Satoransky and Thad Young. And if they don't extend a qualifying offer to Markkanen, then you already can almost assume they're going to get aggressive with those guys because they're going to be playing the cap game and creating cap space. Another option to keep in mind is Al-Farouq Aminu. They can waive him or try to trade him, and they can stretch his cap hit over time. So there are a lot of different ways they can get in the Lonzo Ball game if they choose to be aggressive. It just will cost them not only money in terms of lucrative offer sheet, but also roster spots and players, guys like Sato and Aminu and Lauri Markkanen, et cetera. So we'll see how they play free agency.
Okay, so here's my thing. One of my favorite guys this year in the trade was Daniel Tice. What are the Bulls' plans with him? Because we know that he's going to probably get some offers from other teams because, there's teams looking for players like him that can contribute at two positions, rebound, defense. Well, what are the Bulls looking at doing with Daniel Tice?
Yeah, so I've reported that he's expected to draw significant interest around the league, and everything I keep hearing is that he's seeking a big payday. I mean, obviously, he's kind of always been a little bit underpaid or undervalued in his short stint in the NBA. I think he only made $5 million last year, so he knows as a free agent, this is his chance to get a big payday. And one name that I've been told to keep an eye out on for him is the Charlotte Hornets, who obviously need some big man help. So, the Bulls have his bird rights, so they can exceed the salary cap to retain him. I have not heard a lot of buzz about that possibility, but you know how this game works, Stacey. You can have one plan and it can fall, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, Daniel Tice looks great. So I'm not here to say anything in absolutes, but I personally am expecting him to be elsewhere. But free agency always takes unexpected twists and turns, so we'll see how that plays out.
I mentioned the finals and cheering for the Bucks, and it was fun to see Bobby Portis playing a big role. He had 16 points in that clinching game, and the fans in Milwaukee fell in love with him, much like they did in Chicago. Of course, that took kind of a side tour when he punched Nico, but that's a whole different story.
Get your hands up.
Portis has a player option, and he's paid very low money by NBA standards, something like $3.5 million. He's got his ring. They love him in Milwaukee, but how aggressively do you think Bobby's going to shop his services? And is there any chance of a Chicago reunion for Bobby Portis?
I have not heard his name linked to the Bulls, but he would fit. But I think they have designs elsewhere or priorities elsewhere. As far as whether or not he returns to Milwaukee, he's a hard guy to read because I personally thought he made a mistake turning down the contract extension he got here. He
admitted that.
He finally admitted it publicly. He had kind of intimated to me privately at one point, but said he didn't want it written, and he finally said it publicly. I mean, that's old history anyway. But he's got his ring, so maybe that. And he turned out a big offer with the Bulls, so maybe he looks at that opportunity now to get paid again, right? It's hard to say what he's going to do, but he certainly was a fan favorite up there, and it was good to see. And he also kind of stole the post-game press conference show, man. He had some hilarious moments in those press conferences that I was in on, so that was good to see.
JC, when you look at last season, and there was a lot of trials and tribulations, ups and downs with all the teams in the NBA with COVID. when you look at the Bulls, what would you grade the front office and Billy Donovan's first year as a head coach?
I mean, I would say as far as grading the front office, I don't want to take the easy way out, but I will eventually give it a grade. But I personally would say it's a little too early because they obviously did not do much to the roster they inherited until the trade deadline. And you've just got to see how that plays out over the course of the whole season. There are question marks as to the ceiling of this team now that you've kind of cashed in that draft capital to pair Nikola Vucevic with Zach LaVine. But that was a pretty bold and aggressive move, and one we are not used to seeing around here. You just did not see the old regime cash in draft picks like that. So I think there's a decent foundation here. I've been following you, obviously, on Twitter, Stacey, and I know you're optimistic about next season. And so I kind of want to see a little bit more body of work with this trade because it was just you nailed it with your question, Stacey. It was just a funky, disjointed season. And then you add on top of what's already a chaotic, abnormal season due to COVID, huge trade at midseason. It's like the team just never really found its rhythm. They went from one identity to the other. Then Zach lands in the COVID protocols. It was just disjointed from the jump and continued thus. So, I think I would feel more comfortable answering the front office grade question after I see what they do this offseason because this is their chance to really impact the roster. But they've started that process with the Vucevic trade. The fact they didn't get into a play-in, you have to downgrade them for that. So I would probably give them a B minus right now, with a kind of an incomplete tag to give myself a little wiggle room. And then as far as Billy, I think Billy's a great culture guy, and you can see the buy-in that he's got from all kinds of players, particularly Zach LaVine. Again, disjointed season. He had to change identities from going to kind of a fast-paced team to slowing it down and playing more in the half court once they got Vucevic. So, again, they didn't make the play-in, so you can't give them an A, either one of them. So I would probably give him kind of in the same neighborhood and then kind of with an incomplete status because you've got to see what he does with this new roster.
It's no secret the Bulls are going to be looking to upgrade at point guard, and then they get the unfortunate news that Kobe White suffers a pretty serious shoulder injury, which could put him out for, 5 or 6 months. He might miss the start of next season. How's that going to impact their search for a point guard this summer, and how might that impact Kobe White's future as a Bull?
I don't think it impacts either, and I don't want to diminish the severity of the injury because it is legit. I mean, he tore a labrum, and obviously it's surgery to repair it. So I think it's going to be closer to 6 months personally. But I think Kobe's a piece, and I think he's kind of a foundational piece moving forward. But I think he's a piece of, in the right mix, and that mix involves bringing in a more true point guard. So I think that the Bulls were going to address that position regardless of whether Kobe got injured or not. And, the fact that he's going to be back at some point and, close the season very well last year. I know that the front office is pretty high on him and they said so publicly. So I don't really see much long-term impact for either situation. And I think Kobe fits right in with their plans. I mean, Arturis has made it clear how much he values shooting. And when Vucevic arrived, as you guys both saw, he was placed in a lot more catch and shoot situations. His decision-making responsibilities lessened because they played through the post and Vucevic quite a bit. So I think Kobe's a fantastic fit moving forward, particularly since he's still on his rookie deal for a little bit longer. And we'll see, how he can come back from that injury.
Now, I've been hearing these different scenarios where you hear Patrick Williams sliding to the 4, and the Bulls looking to bring in a wing player, possibly, someone, a 3-and-D type of player. Watching these playoffs and seeing guys like, Jay Crowder, who can come in and play multiple positions for you, give you some tough defense. That's what I kind of look at the Bulls needing, a player like that with some toughness, a PJ Tucker. Someone can come in to space the floor that can knock down shots, but also be tough defensively. And when you look at this team and you look at Patrick Williams, the ceiling is super high for him. Do you see him more as a small forward, or do you see him now more as that hybrid 4 type of player?
I personally see Patrick as a hybrid 4 type player, but I couldn't agree with you more about adding toughness. And it's amazing you brought up the 2 names that I was going to use. I don't even know why you guys have me out as a guest, Stacey.
I watch a lot of basketball, KC. You know me.
Yeah. But I will say I'm proud. I mentioned Jay Crowder in players the Bulls should target with their mid-level last year. Now, obviously, he got a little bit Well, no, because the Bulls didn't use all their mid-level to sign Garrett Temple, so they could have made a run at Jay Crowder. Maybe they did and didn't get him. I don't know. When they and Garrett obviously had a decent season for him, but I've always loved Jay Crowder's
Me too.
game. I don't know. I've loved his game for a long time. I just think he's one of those blue guys, tough as nails, can play multiple positions. Obviously, he's become a very good shooter. So I couldn't agree with you more. But back to Patrick, I've always thought he's a 4. Obviously, he has the defensive versatility to guard multiple positions, but I just see him. He's got a pretty slow release. I know that jumper can improve over time. And just the way how thick he is down low, I just see him more as kind of one of those hybrid 4s of the same ilk that we're kind of talking about with these other players.
You know, our good friend Southside Susie, John's wife's not a fan of Jay Crowder. He majored in drama at Marquette. He's a flopper. So, Susie, not a big fan, right?
Hey, I have a question for KC. I want to put something to rest. When is the NBA season going to start next year?
When is it going to start?
Yeah. I mean, has it been a done deal? Because I've heard, is it going to be October? What's the,
I mean, I'm just going off of everything I've heard, and every press conference I've been in on Adam Silver is it's his absolute, mission to get it back on the normal NBA calendar, so back on track. So I've heard kind of a normal start.
And that was my first part.
John's a conspiracy theorist.
No, I know. I think it's going to start in October, but I think King has different thoughts on it. So, my other question, we have a running joke here about Rondo, and I'll save you the drama because
it's a running joke that's not funny.
It's not funny, exactly. And he's the only one that gets the joke.
No, but I just want to go on the record. Rondo's contribution. How would you rank Rondo's contribution during the time that he was a Bull?
Yeah, he was really good with the Clippers this past year, too.
I'm not talking about the Clippers. Hey, he won a ring last year with the Lakers. So please answer that question for me, Casey. How would you rank the contribution that Rondo made in a short time compared to?
You don't really have to answer that question if you don't want to.
Well, he was basically compared to what Dwayne Wade did also when he was here, and he's always saying the leadership that Rondo showed.
Yeah, the Instagram post was the one good thing he did that whole year, and his play against the Celtics in the playoffs. I'll give him those two things.
Yeah, and I'm on. It sounds like because I'm hearing some loaded debate here. It sounds like I might be a little bit more on John's side than your guys' side. I thought Rondo was fantastic here.
No, I thought
he's going to talk about how he worked with Isaiah Cannon and Jerry and Grant and tried to help everybody.
I've always liked
Rondo.
Rondo.
Why don't you bring him in?
I thought
you need a point guard. Bring him in.
I honestly thought that they should have kept Rondo when they brought Kobe White in as a rookie. And let Kobe White play under Rondo. That's what I thought should have been done, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen that way.
Hey, Stacey, I was cleaning out the garage the other day, and I found a Rondo bobblehead doll. That baby's right in the trash.
Oh, wow.
This guy.
Wow. Just killing him.
KC, this guy was a
Put him on the list with Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin.
There's a lot of people looking for him. A lot of players looking for Mark right now. He's over here hiding at the Sriracha Studios. Right. He's going to get us all shot up over here.
Look. Beyond the fantastic Instagram post, which that one's well told. Let me just say that I will say that Rondo gave me one of the best quotes of all time, and I got to deliver it here. We were in Washington. It was that day where he kind of parsed through how his role had been jacked around so many times, and then he was finally back in the starting lineup, and he always got that deadpan delivery, kind of no BS delivery. And we said, did you get an explanation? I want to say, yeah, Fred was still coaching. Yeah, obviously. Yep. I said, did you get an explanation from Fred? And the direct quote was, he looked at me and he goes, how should I say this? No. But the way he delivered it, he's like, I said, did you get an explanation from Fred? He goes, how should I say this?
And he
no.
2-0 in that series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have to endure another year of Dwayne Wade if that wouldn't have happened.
Well, I didn't realize. I didn't realize we were going to be breaking down Cameron Payne and Rajon Rondo.
This podcast always takes wild left turns, especially when Stinger gets involved.
Yeah, he's a big Rondo fan. I'm a Rondo fan too. I like Rondo. Here's my question. Okay, so I watched Atlanta and New York. They made some huge strides with young players, the young talent that they had. And Phoenix as well. Phoenix going in the bubble was 8-0 the year before, and then you add Chris Paul, and that was a huge difference for what they did, in the Western Conference this year. And I thought the tables was set for Phoenix to get out the West with all the injuries and all the things that happened to all the star players on other teams. But do you see the Bulls having an opportunity to make that kind of jump as far as what we saw this year with some of the teams in the Eastern Conference who were not supposed to be in this position this year. New York was not supposed to be the 4th seed. No one saw that coming.
Or Atlanta.
Knowing that Thibodeau is a very good coach, no one saw New York being the 4th seed or Atlanta being the 5th seed.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with you. I mean, give you hope, I guess, but I mean, you gotta make some good moves this summer because, as you know, Atlanta made a ton of ancillary moves in the offseason last year to surround their transcendent star in Trae Young with just solid players. I mean, you look at all those guys like independently, and none of those guys are going to just wow you, right? But once they got all together, the sum was greater than the parts, right? And then Trae obviously was transcendent. So Atlanta had a hugely aggressive offseason last summer, and the Bulls have the opportunity to have a hugely aggressive offseason this summer. So I guess, like I said, it gives you hope. The Chris Paul Phoenix situation to me is an anomaly because you add a Hall of Famer to a team that was on the rise, and then Devin Booker just played at an incredibly elite level. But when you've got a guy like Zach, who I know Stacey, you and Mark, I know Stacey, I think you, Mark, you and I feel similar about him. I still think there's still room for that guy to grow.
Yes.
So when you've got a guy like that, you have an opportunity there to surround him with the right parts. And you started with the Vucevic trade, and now you've got to do more this offseason. That's why it's such a critical offseason for the Bulls.
Yeah, one last thing on Rondo. I just thought of this. You remember in the masseuse conferences they had at the United Center? After practice, they'd always drag a player grudgingly over to meet the media, and they put all the TV reporters put their microphones in this bank of this little rack, and Rondo would raise it to cover it over his face, and then he would do the whole news conference, so the TV crew got nothing but a shot of the microphones. What a jerk. I mean, come on.
No wonder why his anger there. No wonder why he's bitter. Did we finally? This is a couch session.
Finally figured
he's
out.
on a couch right now telling us all this.
This podcast is giving me a release for a lot of things that bug me through the years.
Oh my God. And he's not hesitating now. He's letting the guns fly. He's letting them fly, Casey. Casey, I got a question for you. I got a question for you. So we're talking about how teams build around their particular players. Okay, so what I see Zach LaVine doing, in order for him to take the next step, he has to become a better two-way player. He has to be able to get out and get easier baskets in transition, steals, and things like that. But where can the Bulls improve to build around him? Because now you got inside presence too that you have to think about too. Vucevic is a 2010 guy. He wakes up every morning, it's 2010, he falls out of bed. Okay, that's automatic. But you have those two players who are defensive liabilities. Those two players, number one, have to individually get better defensively for the Bulls to take that next step. And then what's put around those two guys? Would you agree?
Well, the big thing, 100%. The big thing that jumps out to me is rim protection, because then it allows Zach to trust what's behind him, and Vucevic ain't protecting that rim. And then because in theory you've got a lockdown perimeter defender in Patrick Williams. I don't care how young he is. You're drafting number 4. That's what you got to do. So there's one piece, and for Zach to continue to make growth, and you can see at least his attempt to be committed at that in the Olympic play. The way he's picking up guys full court and turning them as they bring the ball up, that kind of stuff. You need rim protection, and that's why I'm personally surprised at how little I've heard the Bulls connected to Tice, because I don't think he's the perfect player, but he certainly is a rim protector.
Yes. He did a great job when he was here last year with the rim protection.
Yeah. So I don't know, man, but that to me is one way you can help Zach get better, because I agree with you. To me, it's going to be hard pressed for him to have as an efficient of an offensive season as he had last year. I'm just speaking about career averages, right? I mean, he was incredible offensively last year, and a lot of it was based on his efficiency. So if you have a little drop off efficiency, even if it's just a little bit, the way you generate more points is, like you said, getting out in transition, getting stops, maybe getting some steals, getting some passing lanes. So that's on him to improve that end. And I know he keeps talking about it. We need to see that, finally come to fruition next season.
I have a question for you. You've been covering the Bulls, I know, from the end of the Jordan run all these years. Put into historical perspective, we've talked about the performance Giannis had, the 50-burger, Game 6. Have you ever? We said there's
the block shot.
Yeah, the 5 blocks. I mean, have you ever seen? Mark has mentioned, Jordan, and there was another player,
Magic Johnson
in Philly
when
he played center. But I mean, come on, have you seen a performance like that in the NBA Finals?
Well, I mean, yes, because
Jordan.
You said it. You said it. I covered the second three-peat, so I saw Jordan do. I mean, but yes, to put it in perspective, I mean, obviously it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's one of the most historic closeout games ever. And the other thing, even before that game, he had these incredible signature moments with that block and that alley dunk from Holiday. So, I hope that dude's critics can finally, put a pipe in it, because I don't understand why people kind of still hate on that guy or question that guy.
Not anymore.
Well, you can't. I mean, and especially with the way he comported himself, staying true to a small market franchise and not joining a super team, and just the way he handled all the questions, throughout the finals. I mean, you can't. From my seat, I don't see how you can't respect that guy. But yes, John, that was, obvious. I mean, Stacey saw way more historic Michael moments than I did, but that's got to be on the short list of all-time great finals performances, no doubt.
Last thing I got, Casey, look into your crystal ball and try to guess what the Bulls' starting lineup will look like on opening night in October. Give me that when they make the starting lineup introductions.
Wow,
who's
gave you a tough
there?
one.
Will Rondo be there?
Well, luckily,
no Rondo, no.
Well, luckily, 3 of the 5 I feel confident in: Levine, Williams, and Vucevic.
Right.
I'm gonna go with I'm probably gonna be wrong on these last 2, but I'm gonna go with Thad Young at power forward. So I do think he's gonna be back, and I think Simonovic will be his backup. And then the point guard, I'm gonna go with Cameron Payne. No, wait.
The tank commander.
He is available.
Yeah, he sure is.
Give me D Rose.
He is available. Yeah. See, even if it's D Rose, which I personally think would be a great fit, I don't think he starts. Although with Kobe injured, maybe he does start. Boy, I don't know, man, because whatever I say here, I'm going to be wrong on. So I guess I got to pick one name. I think it's going to be Lonzo or Derrick Rose.
All right. I like that, and I know Bulls fans will like that too. Yeah. Stacey, you got anything else, or should we let Casey off the hook?
I'm not going to give you one of these little Notre Dame type of questions like you did, Mark. Try to put my man Casey on the spot over there. No, I'm not going to do that. Here's a name. Here's a name, Casey, that I like, and I don't know if it could ever be made. The Bulls can make a move for this kid. Is De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento? Like, I really, really love him. And with Halliburton now kind of established himself as a guy he's a much better, point guard than, say, off guard. Would Sacramento be willing to part with them? And what would the Bulls have to do to get a player like that?
Yeah, I mean, I just looked this up real quick, so I was pretty sure. But, yeah, he signed a max. So,
yeah.
And that's the thing is, once you make that Vucevic trade, I mean, obviously you'd have to make a trade for him. That Vucevic trade was their big move in terms of draft capital. So if you're talking going after a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who's on a max contract, you would have to be. I mean, Zach LaVine would be asked for, first of all. So there's no way you're going to get De'Aaron Fox without including an all-star and draft capital. And to me, just like in the Ben Simmons conversation, De'Aaron Fox only makes sense in the Bulls if Zach LaVine is running alongside of him. So
yeah,
I like that player too, Stace, but I don't see how you do it with the draft capital they sacrificed in the Vucevic trade and also maintaining your all-star in Zach LaVine.
So basically, the Bulls are going to have to, with the 2 players they have, with the 2 all-star players, Vucevic and Zach LaVine, you're going to have to get like mid-level type of guys, guys who are coming in that, basically are not, going to, break the bank, let's say a player like a Danny Green type of player,
guys who make a trade.
Yeah, and the big one that we're forgetting is that they need Patrick Williams to become an all-star. I mean,
yes.
That's what it comes down to. And I mean, they could make a big splash in free agency this summer with a Lonzo type, but you're not going to go get like a max type player. So yeah, you're going to that trade. That's why I said earlier you have to question what is the ceiling with this team, and Patrick Williams holds a lot of that answer because
so KC,
you need that dude to be a star.
So Lonzo is on his rookie deal. Okay, and so what is he actually looking for? Is New Orleans going to say Lonzo? He's looking like 20 plus million, right? So is New Orleans saying basically like, because Stan Van Gundy, if to me I may be wrong, it didn't seem like he really meshed with Lonzo Ball. If Van Gundy's still there, I think Ball's gone. Now they have a new coach in there, and so now it's a totally different system. And was it Willie Green? Is it Willie Green there? So Willie Green may want to keep him now, but. So is New Orleans going to say, go out just like the Bulls are going to do Lowry, go out there and get your best offer and then we'll match it?
Well, I don't know if they'll say the last part, but yeah, that's what they're going to say. Go out, get your best offer, and then we'll decide. And like I said, when we started, the way I read today's trade, and that's why today's trade is so intriguing and does have a potential Bulls ripple, is if they chase Kyle Lowry and don't get him, they got to have a guard somewhere, right? So I think a ball match makes more sense, which is why. I know there's a lot of balls the Bulls smoke, and it's legit because they try to trade for him in March. But I still think at the end of the day, there's too many hurdles and hoops to jump through for it to happen. But as you guys know, I've been wrong many times before.
We all have.
No, you've been right most of the time. Casey, we appreciate your patience for putting up with all of our nonsense. And if you thought that your technical experience was bad, call Bill Cartwright and ask him about his appearance on Gimme the Hot Sauce. It was one of the classic things of all time as he and his wife tried to get him going on the computer.
Well, I briefly, because I did say this off air to you guys, I want to quickly say this on the podcast. As you know, and Stacey knows, Bill is one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
And when I covered him as a coach, I always say he was the fantastic for beat writers because he was one of those rare guys you could ask a post-game question of. He would give a one-word answer, and usually that is bad for what we do, but his would be so classic that you could use them. And the example would be that we would say like, "Hey, what do you think of Marcus Pfizer tonight?" Pathetic.
and Bill always threatened to kill Stacey for doing impersonations of him around.
Now everybody's doing it. Now everybody's doing it now. See, I started something and he threatened me all the time. He used to hit me with basketballs all the time. Stop making fun of my name. Stop doing that. It's not funny.
But how was he to the TV people?
It was very funny.
How was he to you, Mark? Was he good to you?
Bill was the best. Okay. I love Bill. So it was great having him on the show. It was great having Casey on. Keep up the great work at NBC Sports Chicago, NBCSportsChicago.com, along with Rob Schaefer. They have great coverage of the team. Make sure you check it out leading up to the NBA draft and throughout free agency. Casey, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Had a blast, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
More Gimme the Hot Sauce coming up next. Stay with us. We had a great time talking hoops with Casey Johnson. Of course, a lot of stuff coming up in the next week. Free agency starting on August 2nd. It could be a very interesting time around the NBA as teams make their moves to try to go after next season's NBA championship and knock off the world champion Milwaukee Bucks. Just love saying that.
Yeah, it's nice.
We started out the show talking football, and then Wisconsin all of a sudden has become like the capital of the sports world. The Bucks winning the championship. The Brewers are in first place. The whole Aaron Rodgers coming back to the Packers. And I know that you and Southside got a chance to experience the excitement of Brewers White Sox over the weekend, Stinger.
Yeah, it was great. We gave them a win on their way out of town. We had taken the first two.
Who's we now? We're trying to figure out what we're talking about here.
The crew took
his loyalty is to the paycheck, Stacey. Whoever's paying him can't get the loyalty,
Oh, my goodness.
I'll tell you what, I love this team. It's a bunch of grinders. There's no superstars. Yelich has been struggling. They got great pitch. I like the way Council manages once again. They had that unbelievable play where they knew exactly Moncano didn't touch the plate. They appealed it, and Tony was wrong. All I can say. And it wasn't for Lance Lynn last night. But anyways, I think we want to talk about Southside, her experience.
Yeah,
what did you think of
Chicago's store. We want to talk to Chicago people.
We got kick-ass tickets because Stacey was supposed to come.
Yes, I was supposed to come.
Did you drop his name?
I did. We dropped his name.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, I had to see what the tickets looked like first. They couldn't give me any kind of look at the seats. So I was
you were next to Bernie Brewer up in the chalet.
Exactly. I thought I was going to have to slide down a little slide just to get out. So I wanted to see what the tickets looked like. Yeah. So they held on to what time was the game? 6?
6.
So they waited till 5:59 to tell me these were the seats, and then they had somebody else sitting in them.
If you're watching on YouTube,
What is that?
Get a chance to look at the photo.
That's not them, ladies and gentlemen. In America, that's not them. That's a man. I think that's Honey Boo Boo's mom with an eagle on her shoulder. I don't know what that is, but there they are, right there.
See,
there they are. Look at those seats.
Time.
Look at
I think the 3 people in that photo were the only people in our section rooting for the Brewers. It was a wonderful White Sox representation.
Yes.
It's just like the Cubs. They called it Wrigley North.
Yeah,
now
it was.
It's Guaranteed Rate North.
And they were all well behaved. I heard many Brewer fans complimenting the White Sox fans and comparing them to the poorly behaved Cubs fans.
There you go.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was awesome. No, we had a great time.
And it's a great time for both of those teams. They both hold huge division leads and can kind of get themselves set for the playoffs. Trade deadline for Major League Baseball is Friday at 3 p.m. You guys anticipate the White Sox doing anything? They're getting Eloy Jimenez back tonight for the opener against the Kansas City Royals. Luis Robert should be back in a couple of weeks. Yasmani Grandal as well. So their lineup looks pretty good. I think, Stacey. Bullpen, yeah.
Got to get bullpen. Yeah. I mean, you know how pitching is. Pitching wins games nowadays. So you got to get their bullpen, in order and get it ready because they've got the hitters. They got everything you need to win the whole thing. They got good starting pitching. It's just getting bullpen work coming in because in the playoffs, you have to have guys step up big for you, be able to throw more than 2 innings sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So I'd make that bullpen a little bit stronger. But I'm excited. I got my Sox hat on today, ladies.
That's right.
Oh, the right colors
too.
Yeah,
don't. I'm always a Sox fan. Okay. Now if the Cubs were winning, I'd be having the Cubs hat on.
And the Sox, of course, have the great closer in Liam Hendricks, who pitched 2 innings to nail it down.
And Kopech pitched 2 as well last night.
Kopech, that's my guy.
Yeah, and they've got Garrett Crochet from the left side, but they need a veteran for these big playoff games who's been through this a little bit. I think that would help them because you want a guy pitching in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning to get you to Liam Hendricks that has got some playoff experience. So I think that's something Rick Hahn's going to explore. You mentioned the Cubs on the other side of town. On Sunday, they got back-to-back homers from Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, the famous Brizzo tandem, but that might be the last time folks at Wrigley Field see that duo together in the home pinstripes. Kind of sad times over at Wrigley.
Well, you mean they had their window, and for whatever reason, it was only the one World Series, and everything must end, right? And so this is a great chance for Hoyer to rebuild and get shop is. I'm sure they're all going to be gone. I would be shocked.
Everything must go.
Everything must go.
Fire sale.
It's a fire sale. Garage sale. Yeah. Oh boy, somebody's going to pick up some good players though.
And there's talk Anthony Rizzo, who was originally drafted by the Boston Red Sox, may go back to Boston because they need another bat in the lineup, a left-handed hitter, a guy who can play first base and DH. He could be a good bat for them because Boston surprised a lot of people by being in first place in that division. They could be a factor in these playoffs.
Yeah, and once again, he was drafted originally by the Sox, and then he had cancer, and then Theo made the trade from San Diego, and so be a nice storybook ending. Mm-hmm. Not that his career's over by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, I mean, as a Red Sox fan, he'd be great at Fenway. Absolutely. That short porch, the wall, the green monster, you could hit plenty of doubles off of that. And they haven't had a lot of production at first base, so that might be the one piece that they're missing.
So we got a lot of things to watch coming up this week. The start of NFL training camps. The Major League trade deadline is on Friday. And, of course, the NBA draft on Thursday. So great time to be a sports fan. The NBA season is over, but sports never stops, and we'll try to keep you on top of it here on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Stacey, got any stories you want to tell before we get out of here?
Oh, man.
Any outings you did this past weekend?
You know what?
Since you weren't at the White Sox game?
No, I already talked about that. You know what? You guys really didn't want me up there. Just be honest.
No karaoke with Tim?
No
karaoke. Be honest. Well, we texted you, we called you. I was almost short of begging you.
It was the wrong number. It wasn't the right number.
We didn't want you up there.
Yeah, wow.
You didn't want me up there.
That's cold.
Because you know what? Listen, the Walsh. I have to admit, America, the Walshes are a real stand-up, family. They did invite me up there, but it was the anticipation of myself. I thought we were going to be a nosebleed seat, so I refused. I wanted to wait to see what the tickets looked like first.
Because Stacey sees the Bulls tickets I used to get from my husband.
Yeah, that's your husband giving you those crappy seats.
Well, he's the one who got the White
But
Sox
if you
seats.
would have known me, you would have got my seats that are right down on by the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, but John, that's what they treated him when he was working for us on the Death Star. When he was on the Death Star, he didn't get any tickets. He didn't get good tickets on the Death Star.
Of course, our good partner, your partner, Neil, completely called me out on the air. Like,
of course he did.
Yeah. They see Susan up there in the third row, third section up top, waving, "Go Bulls!" It's like you had to get binoculars to see if it was her or not. So we panned the camera on there. It's like, "Hey, where's your wife sitting at?" Da da da. So we found her, and then Neil just roasted John with those seats. Oh my goodness!
Oh yeah.
I can hear him saying that now.
Oh yeah.
He was one of the best at putting people down.
Oh yeah. He was.
I led the league for a few years there.
Yeah, John got thrown on the bus many times.
You could have gotten a T-shirt like our guy Tim Kelly, right?
How many years of abuse?
How many years of abuse?
It's going on 31 now.
Oh my gosh, this guy here, man. I love this man over here, Tim Kelly.
While these guys try to sort out how many years it's been that Stacey's been picking on him, I think it's time to bring episode 39 to a close, the Larry Zonka edition of Gimme the Hot Sauce. Want to thank our special guest, Casey Johnson, giving us great insight on what's going to be coming up in the offseason for the Chicago Bulls and the rest of the NBA. Stacey, let's bring it on in.
Hey, don't forget Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy Grant, number 39. And don't forget, get yourself a bottle of hot sauce.
That's
Gimme
right.
the hotsauce.com. Go grab you a bottle today, and she'll like it too. Drive home safe in Chicago. Beep, beep. Give me the hot sauce.